Imagine you are standing in a Chicago slaughterhouse in 1906. The air is thick with the smell of iron and sawdust. Across from you, an inspector from the Beef Trust walks down a line of hanging carcasses. He isn't looking for beauty, he is looking for specks. With a single movement, he slams a purple ink stamp onto the meat, Grade A. In that moment, a living creature is officially transformed into a commodity. It is ranked, sorted, and priced for the market. Now, look at your high school report card. Look at that red A or that soul-crushing F. Most of us have spent our entire lives believing those letters measure our intelligence. We think they tell the world how smart we are. But the truth is far more industrial and much darker. The system you live under wasn't designed by philosophers or scientists trying to help you learn. It was copied almost letter for letter from 19th century factory floors and meatpacking plants. You aren't just a student. In the eyes of the system, you are raw material being moved along an assembly line, waiting for your final quality control stamp. This is the hidden history of your GPA. And once you see the machine, you can never unsee it. How did we end up living like this? For most of human history, grades didn't exist. From hunter-gatherers teaching their children to hunt, to the elite students at the universities founded by Thomas Jefferson, education was based on mentorship. The model was simple: pass or fail. There were no percentages, no 4.0 scales. The teacher actually knew the child. They worked with that child until they understood the material. If a student failed, the teacher felt it was their own failure, not the student's. Back then, if you wanted a job, the best information you could give an employer wasn't a number. It was the name of your teacher. But then, the world changed. By the late 1700s, the Industrial Revolution was exploding. Suddenly, there were millions of children to educate and not enough time to know them all. At Yale in 1785, the president, Ezra Stiles, tried to keep it fancy. He used Latin ranks like optimi, the best, to sort a handful of gentlemen. It was subjective and slow. But the factories were demanding something new: efficiency. They needed a way to process humans with the same speed they processed iron and coal. The person who solved this problem was a man named William Farish. In 1792, Farish was a tutor at Cambridge University. He had a very modern problem. He wanted to make more money while doing less work. At the time, teachers were starting to be paid by piecework, meaning they got paid for every student they processed. Farish realized that if he stopped trying to know his students and started ranking them like products, he could handle 200 children as easily as 20. He looked at the nearby factories. Factories had a system to see if a batch of shoes or a piece of cloth was up to grade. This was the benchmark used to decide if workers got paid and if the product could be sold. Farish stole the idea. He invented grades. Suddenly, the goal of school shifted. It was no longer about a teacher's contagious love of a subject. It was about rote learning. It was about passing a test to get a stamp. But the system wasn't perfect yet. It wasn't standardized. If you look at the USDA meat grading system today, you'll find something eerie. Cattle are sorted into 5 maturity groups labeled A through E. Group A meat comes from the youngest, most tender animals. Group E comes from the old, tough ones that are usually ground into canned meat. It's almost the exact same scale we use for children. In 1897, Mount Holyoke College became the first to use the AF letter scale we know today. But there was a mistake in their design, a mystery you've probably wondered about your whole life. Why is there no E in your grades? When Mount Holyoke first rolled it out, they did have an E. It meant failure. But there was a massive administrative disaster. Parents and students would see the E on a report card and think it stood for excellent or exemplary. The school didn't care about the students' feelings, they cared about clear data. They needed a letter that screamed failure with zero ambiguity. So they skipped the E and went straight to F. Nobody was going to mistake F for fantastic. It was a cold, calculated decision made for efficiency, not for education. As the 20th century began, the world's richest men stepped in to finish the job. John D. Rockefeller and his General Education Board began pumping millions into schools. His vision was clear. He wrote, "We shall not try to make these people into philosophers or men of learning. We will organize our children into a little community and teach them to do in a perfect way the things their fathers and mothers are doing in an imperfect way." He didn't want thinkers. He wanted workers. To get there, they applied a philosophy called Taylorism, named after Frederick Winslow Taylor. Taylor was the man who turned factory work into a science. He believed there was only one best way to do any task, and everyone had to follow it. In schools, Taylorism meant children were now grouped by age, not ability, a process factories call batch processing. Bells were brought in, modeled directly on factory whistles, to mark transitions. Desks were bolted to the floor in rows, just like machines on an assembly line. And the grade itself evolved into what experts call the omnibus grade. An A wasn't just about what you knew, it was a single letter that mashed together knowledge, timeliness, and obedience. Were you on time? Were you neat? Did you follow the rules? If you were compliant, you got the Grade A stamp. If you were different, you were treated like a defective part and discarded. The system stopped measuring your intelligence and started measuring your docility. By the 1940s, this 19th century machine was locked in stone with the 4.0 GPA scale. We created a credential economy where a piece of paper became more valuable than the actual knowledge you gained. Today, your GPA is a permanent digital tattoo. It determines your financial credit, your insurance rates, and which corporate factory will hire you. It is statistically significant down to the hundredth of a point. If the computer calculates a 79.94%, you are a C+. If it's 79.96%, you are a B-. It feels scientific. It feels reassuring. But remember where it came from. It was an administrative shortcut created by a tutor who wanted a shorter workday and a bigger paycheck. We are still using a 120-year-old stamp to decide the value of a human soul. We live in the 21st century, a world that supposedly values creativity and collaboration. Yet, every morning, millions of children still walk into buildings that look like factories. They sit in rows, obey bells, and wait to be sorted into maturity groups. When you look at your report card or your child's GPA, you aren't looking at a reflection of brilliance. You are looking at a meat packer's ledger. You were never meant to be a philosopher. You were meant to be a standardized output for a standardized economy. The system has spent over 100 years trying to make you believe that the letter on the paper is who you are. But here is the final truth they don't want you to know. You are a person, not a product. The next time you see that red F or that perfect A, remember that the machine can only grade what it can measure. It can never measure your courage, your kindness, or your ability to change the world. The machine was built to ruin learning so it could build workers. Maybe it's time we stop acting like cattle and start acting like humans again.